welcome back. MTG Joe here. Today we're going to go through a kind of ladder run. I've been trying out variations of mono red for standard best of one. The previous version of this list, I'm 7-2 on the ladder thus far with it, losing to mono black and Esper Legends. And I've been kind of playing around with it, and we'll kind of go through what I've been doing thus far and then what I've changed in the list and what we're going to test out. But kind of the core of the deck is leveraging the new Virtue of Courage. I was playing upwards of 4 of these. I'm trimming down to 3 because I want to try out Bloodthirsty Adversary in the list to see how that plays. But the Virtue is very powerful. It gives us another kind of shock style effect, so it gives us more access in the creature mirrors to have access to removal. And then late game, it gives us a 5 mana enchantment. If we do Flood, that turns any of our incidental non-combat damage into card advantage. So Lightning Strike to your opponent's face, now it gets you access to 3 additional cards that you can play for that turn cycle. So we're playing that, and then in terms of new cards as well, we have Godric, Cloaked Reveler. This card's actually been really good. So the floor on it is a 3 mana 3/3 haste, but with Celebration, if 2 or more permanents enter the battlefield this turn, it becomes a 4/4 flyer with Fire Breathing. So for every red mana you pump into it, it gets +1 power. It's been a nice way to kind of go over the top of like a Shield Druid or just ground creatures and push through a bunch of unexpected damage. We can trigger Celebration a number of different ways in the deck. We have Squee within an attack, creates Squee and the Goblin token trigger it. We have Charming Scoundrel, which we'll go into more detail, but one of the ways is it could create a Wicked Roll token, which is another permanent in terms of an aura. We have Voldaren Aperture, which creates a Blood token, which is 2 permanents. And then depending on the turn cycle, if you have Kumano Flip, that counts as entering the battlefield. So if you play another permanent, it triggers the Celebration. The rest of the deck, we have like the Kumanos, Swiss Spears. We're playing 4 of Monstrous Rage. This card's been very good. So it kind of screws up combat math on your opponent's side. It gives you really explosive starts. So if you go turn 1 Kumano, turn 2 Swiss Spear, becomes a 2/3. Then you cast this, it gets Prowess, becomes a 3/4. And then you give it +2/0 and Trample. And then it deals just like huge amounts of damage on turn 2. So the base on it, it's going to give it any creature +1/1 and Trample. And then the turn you cast it, they also get 3 bonus attacks. So helps you push through some of the bigger blockers, screws up your opponent's combat math, and then the Trample is relevant against like incidental tokens, stuff of that nature. Play of Fires, Lightning Strikes, Feldon's, a couple copies. Like I mentioned, I'm trying out a couple copies of Bloodthirsty Adversary. I want to see how it plays out with the Monstrous Rage in particular. And then Charming Scoundrel has been pretty solid, all things considered. So it's kind of a utility card. So 2 mana, 1/1 haste. Can let us discard a card, draw a card. So late game, if you're kind of flooded, you have lands in hands, you can loot it that way. It could create a treasure token. So if you're missing your 3rd land, it helps you ramp. It can also trigger Celebration that way as well. It can help you ramp potentially into a Virtue of Courage hardcast. And then the Wicked Roll is also pretty relevant. It buffs up one of your creatures, and then it's also incidental damage. So when they kill that creature, they lose a life when the aura goes to the graveyard. The one other change I am trying out, I was on 2 Myrex. I want to try out a Mishra's Foundry and a Myrex to kind of see which I like better. The Myrex produces red mana the turn it comes down, so it lets you double spell on turn 2 with 2 red drops, whereas Foundry always produces colorless. This is a more immediate damage where you can activate it for the turn. It only costs 2 mana. This requires 4 mana. So there's pluses and minuses to both. So we're going to give this a shot and see how it plays out. Really at this point, I just want to try out. The meta is not really defined yet in terms of what we will anticipate. I've played a bit of everything on the ladder against. Esper Legends seems to be the toughest. I was playing a couple games on mobile. I went like 2-1. I lost to Esper Legends again. Like the Curve of Dennick into Rafine into Shield Druid's very hard to beat for this deck. Mono Black is reasonable, but it just depends on who draws better. So opponent goes first. We could try this out. We have a kill spell if needed. So that's probably control. So we're punished a bit if this is... I think I'm just going to take the Kumano on top and just play out the Kumano. They could have Make Disappear here. I just don't know if we're on Soldiers or Control. Okay, so Esper Control. think at this point we just got to jam. A lot of these control decks are pretty tough. I think we go for it. Do you have the removal? No removal. Okay, so big chunk of damage here. So they could have like Wandering Emperor here. Okay, can we stop drawing lines? That would be fantastic. So they might get greedy here, but they should just exile. And a surprise to no one, the Wandering Emperor continues to be an annoying card. Bit of a flood here. Like, this matchup's okay, these control matchups, if you do draw your removal, but... Okay, so that to me suggests that they have another Wandering Emperor. So we probably lost this one. Especially since they're going to be able to deluge now. This gives them access to whatever card draw they want. So I'm just going to play out the land here. This matchup's certainly not terrible, but it's dependent on your draw. The Monstrous Rages really are not good in this matchup. Let's see if they get aggressive.
Anyone who harms my people must contend. May your blade strike true.
They could have removal here, but I have to play as though they don't. Yeah, let's just go to the next game. I really wish they rotated this format. Like, I'm so tired of having to try to run creatures into Wandering Emperor. So that matchup, if like we could get Squee out, it's not too bad. They had some exile, but that deck's likely running just card draw, removal, and Wandering Emperors as the primary win conditions. Now that they have access to creature lands, we'll probably see some of those to help close out the game. But you can't really do much. We drew 6 lines. Okay, so this hand's a lot nicer. We have some options. We can do 1, turn 2, turn 3. And a curve out to there. So his hand is reasonable against creatures, and then also decent against control. Okay, so mirror. So they're on the play. We'll see what they do turn 2. Hopefully it's something that doesn't get like huge buffs. Bloodthirsty at 3 is a bit annoying. I think we just passed the turn here. Kumano will flip, but this also gives me access if they do have a Squee for the turn. Okay, so we see Swift Spear here. So with the Swift Spear for turn, I think we're just going to do this turn. So we have some options. You could try to race them. Because my turn next turn is, I have Sokuzan that I can channel. So that, they're missing land. So if they go Squee next turn, it's 6-7 damage. If they go Lightning Strike, it's 6-8 damage. If they have a land, it's 2 burn spells that kill me. Okay, so I think we just do this. Hold up the blocker here. So I'm going to do this because this has more utility going face in terms of a scry. Okay, so they go lightning strike here to the face. So I think here we do just want to soak up the damage. And again, I think here we'll just attack in like this. Because if they have land Swiss Spear, or just some combination, I want to have the removal spell here. Because then next turn, the 2 Sokuzan tokens trigger Godric, so then I get flying. I also have the ability to Virtue of Courage. Okay, so they're just dead. So that's 8, 10. Got him. So it's important in the mono red mirrors, you want to kind of play the game in a note, like when you need to be aggressive, when you don't. We saw like how Godric gets pretty big pretty fast there, and it helps close out the game. But really what we were playing around there is, I think what they should have done was point the lightning strike at my Swiss Spear. They were getting a little too aggressive in that sense when they were falling behind. So that's kind of where they were ahead at a certain point, but they ended up getting us. The other alternative was we could have... I wanted to wait till combat to try to ambush them with the block, because then they don't attack in with the other one, the adversary. But interesting lines there. Okay, scoundrel time. So I'll probably lead on Feldon, since I have 2. Especially against a white base deck. So the one thing we need to be mindful here... Ooh, Enchantress. Okay. So we have a couple decisions here. They can protect Jukai, which is going to be a little annoying. So we will have to target the Skrelv here. So, tad annoying there. Without Skrelv, we easily take out Jukai. Okay, so they go Calyx here. It's a good draw from our opponent. Because now they're going to 5-shot us. So, fortunately a little awkward with this Skrelv. In retrospect, like we probably kill Skrelv earlier there, but can't really do anything in this case. Okay, so I can kill. Which isn't too bad on its own. Hopefully they run out of cards. Like, I'm going to be racing a lifelinker, I understand that, but try to push through some damage. Just the way this match kind of rolled out. It's kind of the thing with best of one, sometimes you're going to get hit by that. Yeah, we're dead at this point. They curved out really nice. 3 lands all gas. Without Skrelv, that matchup's pretty much super linear because we kill, like we stomp their 2-drop, we stomp their Calyx, or we lightning strike their Calyx. We're able to push through damage consistently there. But the way their hand kind of configured, we could have double lightning strike the lifelinker, but then they have Calyx going, which would then let Calyx copy the other and then create like the Lord effects. So there's a lot of kind of compounding factors there. Part of the nature of mono red sometimes is they're just gonna get you. Okay, so red mirror, Swiss spear. Okay. So the way this hand is shaping up, I'm gonna go probably discard draw. I'm going to create a treasure token, actually. I don't think... So, next turn I can discard draw again if needed. But this guarantees, like, if I hit a 3-drop I want, I can also double spell next turn. I could potentially even, you know, just Charming Scoundrel, create a treasure, Charming Scoundrel, loot if I want. So there's some options there. Eldraine, that means they're going to attack in this turn. Perfect. So here I'm going to create a Wicked token, put it on this Scoundrel. So I'm hitting for 6 this turn. I have the Lightning Strike up for their next creature. So the Wicked token gives a creature +1/1, and when the ore is put into the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. So I want to have access to this in case they play something like Squee this turn. Their 3-drops are quite impactful. If they just end up opting to do some sort of burn, which it looks like this may be. So at this point, I'm going to interact here. And I'm doing it now before this prowess trigger comes, so if they had like a shock, it doesn't work. So depending on what I draw this turn, I might opt to loot. Okay, so a Kumano is also nice. So I think just in terms of racing, they shouldn't have hit the one with the counter on, because it does present another point of damage. Because here, even if they go, like, they can't block with Feldin. And we've just seen how the Scoundrels have been able to ramp us, let us play double spell on turn 3, and then just present, you know, reasonable bodies that punish them when they get killed. Bloodthirsty. So I'll probably end up looting this land, but let's see what they have. So they take the trade. They likely have a kill spell. And we ping him with the Eldraine. And got him. So we're doing well in the mono red mirror, which is always like an important avenue to tackle the best of one. I think I do want... So the question is here, do we want to go back up to the 4th virtue? So we've been playing a lot of these creature mirrors. Like we lost the control where these are pretty much neutral. This probably has a little bit more upside because it's repeated damage against control. We're trying to stick this as a little harder. The Monstrous Rage are good when we can get them, but maybe it's... Let me go back to the 4 virtues. Try it like that. Because the problem too, so like Virtue's very good into the mono white matchups, but against red at times, because they have access to burn, there's a lot of cheap removals, so you could get kind of 2 for 1. And we saw against that control matchup, we're drawing all our pump spells. It's like pump spells into heavy removal is not a great avenue of attack. But we'll give this one a go. The games are quick, all things considered, so even when you lose, it's not too bad. You don't have to grind out like 20 minutes. Okay, so I think that this hand, when it goes first, we have a couple draw steps. If they are a creature deck, we do have access to some removal into squee, which I do think is nice. Okay, so green-white is probably enchantments. So I do like having access to the cheap burn here. So we're better equipped this game. So the thing is, I want to kill their threat here because I want to squee the following turn. I actually don't think I kill this. Nah, I probably do. I'm just trying to think from like curve consideration. Oh, perfect. Because the thing is, if they had like double card draw, I'm concerned with Calyx coming down. I do need to kill this though, so... But then I have Gadrick that comes down with a boost, which is nice. So they can eat a 1/1 here, which is actually better for us, because then this triggers my Godric next turn. Be mindful of Auto Tapper with Godric, because you want to keep access to red mana as much as possible. Okay, so they might be dead here. Okay, so they both have trample. So let's see. So that goes to 5, 6, 7. Because they eat that. I'm just scared, depending on the crackback, what's in their hand. They might be able to kill me on the crackback. But I think we just have to position it like this. We don't have a choice. Okay, so land there. Mashiko's probably dead now. This gives him the boost. That's 10. 12. Oh, okay, so literally nothing I did would have mattered there. Like, the line was right there, but if they're gonna... So they had to hit they either hit the land there, so if they just draw like another creature or something, it doesn't do anything, but we died to exactly double Mashiko there. Even with that line, like, they had the audacity to give the other one trample. A bit frustrating. Like, holding back didn't matter there. The whole line there is we have to push the damage. Let's try this. So I can kind of control their board depending what they're doing. I have an answer to their like 2-drop. Or their 1-drop, so I'm on a red. So I think we go Feldon here. They could have Shock, but if they want to give me 2 cards out of this, I'm happy. Okay, well, we clear the lands off the top of our library at least. Play this land. So I think here, because they have the lands up, I want to probably just hold back my burn. And I think I'm actually, in this case, going to... If they don't do anything, I'm going to discard this Monstrous Rage because it's a target that I can use for my Bloodthirsty. Because this could be a matchup where Virtue Courage is going to carry us in terms. I just don't want to give them a good target here. Now they've kind of wasted their turn. Phoenix check. I'm going to do this. So they might shoot their own check, but I just think with the amount of removal in this game that we're not going to get a good opening for this. So I would rather just get rid of it. We've cleared quite a few lands off the top of our library. So we'll pass the turn here. It's an interesting game. Yes, we have Kumano. We have Strangle. Do not want Monstrous Rage. Holy lands. So we'll get Virtue going. We're going to take a chunk of damage this turn, most likely. Okay, but if they're lightning striking my face, it's a good sign. It just doesn't make sense to get this going. Okay, so they followed it up with Raiju, so this race is going to be pretty quick. But hopefully they're out of cards now. However, I do need to... 11... So I do need to do this. Okay, can we stop finding these and find some burn? So we'll take action. So I do have play with fire. Do have the Charming Scoundrel, but I think this turn I do need to play this out. Let me just do this. So we're dead to a burn spell. I need to block Raiju here. Oh, that was a hell of a top deck. Drew way too many lines that game. We filtered a bit too. So part of like the Monstrous Rage, I think we might need to be mindful. Like we'll play a couple more games and just maybe shift to just more burn. The problem with the Rage is so Rage is very good when it's just creature centric, and that's what it was a lot of yesterday, but it seems like there's a lot more interaction today, which makes it a lot worse. So this is why we're going to test out these things to kind of see where we want to be. Okay, so this is the very powerful start, so I think we're going to give this a shot. Opponent is first, but if they don't have a removal spell, the Swift Spear is going to be doing a huge chunk of damage on turn 2. The other thing we can try is instead of these Monstrous Rage, don't die on me now, server, is we can go to like Reckless Impulse. We can also do End the Festivities with Mechanized Warfare. So there's a couple different options we can do. I'm in. Is my opponent in is the question. So just in case this is me, I'm going to give this a reset. And as we're resetting, you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner, we have a sub count. Currently at 9,900 subs. We're 100 away from 10,000 on the channel. So if you enjoy this type of content, we do a bunch of meta analysis as well. Definitely drop a sub on YouTube. It's free, easy, and it helps support the channel. Yeah, so we are timing out. So that'll go to 3, and then we have the Prowess. Okay, so they're using a Play with Fire here, which is good. Generally, in these types of mirrors, you don't want to be the first to, quote-unquote, blow your removal. So I think this turn we're going to use the combo. Just push through a bunch of damage. Don't know what they're doing. It's me if it's them. Release ready software on Wizard's part. Come on. What's happening, friend? I want to play my spells. Can I play my spells? They might have got the disconnect now, so it seems like it's server-wide. So probably last game then if we're getting the server errors, but... So we do have the option. I'm going to do that for the following turn because it'll let me play double spell, and I'm more concerned with like a Kumano turn or a Raiju turn. Okay, so they do the Godric. I can Godric back, but I think this turn we just chunk in damage. Because I want them to kind of play... I guess I missed the point of damage with the prowess there. But this might get them to commit incorrectly. Get wrecked. So now they have to keep this back, but I can put the Wicked token. I can also just Godric here. If we draw a land, I get to play both because I get to put the treasure token and then play Godric. So then we get the celebration, so that gets it going there. So we'll see what they're doing. Can't tell if their server issue, my server issue. Come on. Okay, so it's them. So either they're salty and they're roping us, or they disconnected. We should have lethal next turn. They can only block 2 damage, or 3 if this is the case. So they block 3, they take 7, they're dead. Phoenix Chick doesn't block. Part of the reason why I don't love Phoenix Chick in these decks. Let's just go Godric. Let him know how real Godric player. They should have waited till combat before at least doing the pump spell. Because I probably react with the lightning strike. So that's something to be mindful as well as we're playing these games. Because this puts a counter on it, so it would have been 4 toughness. Because I was planning on doing it as they double spelled, but if they had that pump effect, then it screws up my math. And then we probably come close to dying, because then that's 3 add additional damage, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, so we would have been too short, but close enough in that respect. So kind of sequencing things with these roll tokens, where generally things that wouldn't necessarily get a buff would be getting a buff. So you might want to be playing your instants at sorcery speed, where it's beneficial. But we'll take that win. We went 3 and 4, a little bit of like awkwardness in some of the games, and then just, you know, opponent double Mashikoing you, which is like the only way they could have won that game, but they got us. So gonna wrap this one up. Let me know what you think of the deck and what you've been playing. We'll be doing the meta breakdown as soon as the stats are available. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.